Imagine owning over 9,000 stores across the world, generating billions of dollars every year, and becoming so powerful that almost everyone believes your business is untouchable. Now imagine being offered the chance to buy a tiny startup for just $50 million. A company with no profits, no famous brand, no guarantee of success. Would you buy it? Blockbuster didn't. They laughed. They walked away. And that single decision would become one of the most expensive mistakes in business history, because that tiny startup would eventually become Netflix, a company now worth hundreds of billions of dollars. That completely changed the way the world watches movies. But here's the real question. How could the biggest company in entertainment fail to see the future, while a small startup changed the entire industry? Was it arrogance? Bad leadership? Or did Blockbuster simply believe they were too big to lose? Today, we're uncovering one of the greatest business rivalries ever. A story of innovation, ego, timing, and a decision that rewrote the future of entertainment forever. This is the untold story of Blockbuster versus Netflix. Before Netflix, there was only one name, Blockbuster. In the 1990s, Friday nights followed a familiar routine. Families drove to their nearest Blockbuster store, walked through endless shelves of movies, picked a VHS tape, or later a DVD, paid at the counter, and rushed home before someone else rented the latest release. It wasn't just a business. It was a weekly tradition. At its peak, Blockbuster operated more than 9,000 stores worldwide. It served millions of customers, generated billions in annual revenue, and dominated the movie rental industry like no company ever had. To investors, Blockbuster looked unstoppable. If you wanted to watch a movie, you went to Blockbuster. Simple, but hidden behind its incredible success was a business model that quietly frustrated millions of customers. Late fees, limited inventory, long checkout lines, popular movies always out of stock. Customers hated these problems, but Blockbuster loved one thing: late fees, because they generated hundreds of millions of dollars every year. The company had no reason to change. At least, that's what they believed. While Blockbuster celebrated its success, two entrepreneurs saw something different. They saw frustration, and where most companies saw complaints, they saw opportunity. In 1997, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph founded a small company called Netflix. Their idea sounded almost ridiculous. Instead of driving to a rental store, customers would order DVDs online. Netflix would mail them directly to your home. When you finished watching, you simply mailed them back. No driving, no waiting in line, no searching empty shelves. Most importantly, no late fees. To Blockbuster, this sounded like a tiny niche business. Why would anyone wait for a DVD in the mail when they could drive to a nearby store? The executives believed their thousands of locations were an unbeatable advantage. But Netflix wasn't trying to build a better video store. They were quietly building a completely different way of consuming entertainment. And that difference would soon change everything. By the year 2000, Netflix wasn't doing well. The company was losing money. Growth was slow. Investors were worried. Reed Hastings knew Netflix needed help, so he made a bold decision. He approached Blockbuster. His proposal was surprisingly simple. Buy Netflix for $50 million. Netflix would handle Blockbuster's online business. Blockbuster would continue dominating physical stores. It seemed like a win-win deal. But according to multiple accounts, Blockbuster executives dismissed the idea. Some reports even suggest they found the proposal amusing. Why would the king of movie rentals need a struggling startup? $50 million seemed unnecessary. After all, Blockbuster was already making billions. They believed the future belonged to retail stores, not the internet. But what they failed to realize was that technology doesn't ask for permission. It changes consumer behavior, whether established companies are ready or not. And while Blockbuster continued expanding stores, Netflix was preparing for something much bigger, something that would eventually destroy the very industry Blockbuster had built. By the early 2000s, the internet was evolving. Consumers were changing. Technology was moving faster than ever. But Blockbuster wasn't. Instead of asking, "What do customers want next?" the company kept asking, How do we protect the business we already have? It was a dangerous mindset, because one of Blockbuster's biggest revenue sources wasn't movie rentals. It was late fees. For years, customers had complained about them, but those fees generated hundreds of millions of dollars. Removing them meant sacrificing short-term profits. So Blockbuster hesitated. Netflix didn't. Its subscription model solved one of the industry's biggest frustrations. Pay one monthly fee. Watch as many movies as you want. No deadlines. No penalties. No stress. Customers loved it. And slowly, they started changing their habits. Not because Blockbuster disappeared, but because Netflix offered something better: convenience. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 2007, Netflix introduced something few people took seriously: online streaming. No DVDs, no waiting, no delivery. Just press play. Today that sounds normal. Back then, it sounded impossible. Internet speeds were limited. Smart TVs barely existed. Many believed people would always prefer physical media. But Netflix wasn't building for the present. It was building for the future. The company invested heavily in technology, licensing content, building streaming infrastructure, improving recommendations with data, while Blockbuster continued opening stores. Netflix was eliminating the need for stores altogether. The battlefield had changed, and Blockbuster was fighting yesterday's war. By the late 2000s, the cracks were impossible to ignore. Store traffic declined, revenue fell, debt increased. Consumers were choosing convenience over tradition. Blockbuster tried to respond. It launched its own mail service. It experimented with streaming. It even removed late fees. But the company had waited too long. Changing a business is difficult. Changing customer behavior after someone else already has is even harder. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. The company that once dominated home entertainment had collapsed. Thousands of stores closed. Thousands of jobs disappeared. A global empire became a case study taught in business schools around the world. Not because it lacked money, not because it lacked customers, but because it underestimated change. While Blockbuster faded away, Netflix accelerated. The company didn't stop at streaming. It made another bold decision. Instead of simply distributing movies, it started creating them. Original content, exclusive series, global productions. Shows like House of Cards, Stranger Things, and The Crown transformed Netflix from a streaming platform into one of the world's largest entertainment companies. Millions became hundreds of millions. One country became more than 190 countries. The tiny startup that Blockbuster once refused to buy had become a global entertainment empire. And it all started with one idea: make entertainment easier for customers. The story of Blockbuster and Netflix isn't really about movies. It's about business. History is full of companies that believed they were too big to fail. Kodak ignored digital cameras. Nokia underestimated smartphones. BlackBerry dismissed touchscreens. And Blockbuster underestimated streaming. The lesson is simple. Success can create confidence, but it can also create blindness. The companies that survive aren't always the biggest. They're the ones willing to adapt before they have to. Innovation doesn't wait. Technology doesn't slow down. And customers rarely stay loyal to inconvenience. The next billion-dollar company may not look impressive today. It may seem too small, too risky, too different. Just like Netflix did in 2000. One company chose to protect the past. The other chose to build the future. One disappeared. The other changed the world. And perhaps that's the most valuable lesson in business. The greatest threat to any successful company is believing it has already won. This was the untold story of Blockbuster versus Netflix. And this is Empire Exposed Files. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to Empire Exposed Files for more untold stories behind the world's biggest companies, billion-dollar empires, and corporate failures. Because every business empire has a story, and we're here to expose it.